British Foreign Minister. He suggested Gaddafi might have already left Libya. Well, Rory Challens is at the British Foreign and Commonwealth Office in central London for us. Rory, tell us a little bit about what's being said about that today.
Well, yes, some intriguing language coming from William Hague today. Earlier on in the day, he abandoned the usually tame diplomatic talk that accompanies these kind of things and came out and said that what he's calling what is going on in Libya deplorable and unacceptable, and that the Libyan ambassador was to be summoned here to this office where I'm standing to be given a dressing down. He turned up at about 12 o'clock local time and was talked to by diplomats here, and they outlined their condemnation of what's going on in Libya and the use of lethal force on the streets of Libya. Now then, a few hours later, William Hague came out again, spoke to reporters and said that he thought that there was a possibility that Muammar Gaddafi wasn't actually in the country anymore. Let's have a listen to what he said about that.
You asked me earlier on about whether Colonel Gaddafi is in Venezuela. I've no information that says he is, although I've seen some information that suggests he is on his way there at the moment.
So what he said there, some information to suggest that Muammar Gaddafi is on his way to Venezuela at the moment. Now, it has been said by the Venezuelan government that is strictly not the case, and they have no information that Muammar Gaddafi is on his way there, Barbara.
Well, wherever he is, he's certainly facing a lot of condemnation from around the world and many leaders in Europe. Berlusconi, the latest one who's come out against the violence happening in Libya. Of course, William Hague spoke about it very strongly as well. Just remind us of the relationship between the UK and Libya, which, of course, has been very strained in the past.
It has been strained in the past, but in the last few years has actually been quite friendly. In 2007, Tony Blair went out to Libya and signed what's been called the Deal in the Desert. And this was kind of broadly seen as a way by which Libya could re-enter the international fold. It was condemned in America and many parts of the world as being essentially an oil deal. The British were making these overtures towards Muammar Gaddafi so that they could get into Libya and drill for oil and export oil. BP has a large presence in the country at the moment. America has also been very critical of the release of Abdel Basit al-Megrahi, the Lockerbie bomber, from a Scottish jail. They thought that was maybe linked in with the whole deal in the desert as well. So in the last few years, the British government has actually been quite chummy with Libya and has done many business deals that have benefited Britain very, very strongly. But Britain has always said that this is not for our benefit, this is for the benefit of the world as a whole, because in enticing Libya into dialogue and into partnership with other countries, there are various things that Libya has done, like it has decided that it's going to put away its pursuit of nuclear weapons, and it's going to help the EU out with things like illegal immigration. So the UK has always pointed to those as the benefits of talking to Libya, rather than the rather unsavoury aspects of it, Barbara.
Rory Challens with the latest there from the Foreign Office here in central London. Thank you very much for that. Of course, another country like the UK that had very close links with Libya is Italy. And the Italian Prime Minister, Silvio Berlusconi, has just condemned what he has called unacceptable violence on civilians in Libya. Now, he took his time about it. Berlusconi has recently come under pressure for saying that he didn't want to disturb Gaddafi during the protests. He has had a very close relationship with the Libyan leader in the past. An Italian Foreign Ministry spokesman has also said a repatriation plan has been put in place for the 1,500 Italians currently in Libya. Right, well, Harry Smith has been following these developments in Rome. He joins us live now on the phone. So, Harry, I guess Berlusconi bowed under pressure and did finally come out and condemn the violence taking place in Libya.
He has finally come out, and as you said, it's taken him a long time. He's come under a lot of criticism. Remember, there is a big community, a big expatriate Libyan community in Italy, and he's come under pressure from them. He's also come under pressure internationally because Italy is closest to Libya geographically, but also historically, because remember, Italy was the colonial power for a number of years, and Italy buys by far the largest portion of oil that's produced in Libya, so there are strong economic ties. It has taken him a long time. It's taken many European leaders a long time, but he has come out, this statement that was issued this evening, to say that it's unacceptable and that they're alarmed at the way that the Libyan authorities are dealing with what most Europeans see as legitimate protests within the country.
Harry, I suppose one of the things that the Italian Prime Minister will be worried about is a possible flood of immigrants coming from the North African countries. We've already seen boats with many people coming from Tunisia arriving at the island of Lampedusa. Has the government said anything about that threat? And how do you think Italians feel? Do they feel quite worried about that?
Italians are very worried about floods of immigrants, not just from North Africa. It's a problem they've had to deal with for a long time from countries on the Adriatic as well. And yes, they are concerned. They see illegal immigrants as somehow diluting their traditional way of life. So yes, it is something that Italians feel quite strongly about. It's not something that's often spoken about in public, and I think Berlusconi's statement tonight indicates that there is a feeling within the country that they don't want any more instability on their doorstep. They don't want anything more that would indeed lead to another flood of illegal immigrants.
Harry Smith there with the latest from Rome, and of course that statement we've had from the Italian Prime Minister in the past hour saying that he has condemned what he called unacceptable violence on civilians in Libya. Right, well, we saw pictures there of some anti-Gaddafi demonstrations in Italy, and there have been more anti-Gaddafi protests in London as well. Hundreds of demonstrators have once again gathered outside the Libyan embassy in central London. And there are reports that embassy staff themselves have joined the crowd. Earlier, police had attempted to keep the protesters across the road from the diplomatic post, but dozens crossed that road anyway and staged a noisy demonstration directly in front of the building. One man was able to climb onto the balcony and remove the Libyan flag. Tim Friend has more.
Well, several hundred demonstrators were gathered outside the Libyan embassy in London. They sense that events are now reaching a turning point in Libya. And earlier, a demonstrator managed to climb onto the balcony of the embassy behind me here and replace the flag of Colonel Gaddafi's government with the Libyan independence flag. There was great jubilation, but since then embassy staff have come out and put the Gaddafi flag back on the flagpole. There are reports that earlier some of the embassy staff had joined the demonstrators, although the ambassador himself, who we spoke to earlier on the telephone, said that he was staying in post. He said he had work to do, although he wouldn't discuss the matter of his allegiance to Colonel Gaddafi. Of course, some of his